Hello student. So let's start the oogenesis. The female gonad, that is the ovary, and the ovary that consists of the two parts, that is the outer cortex and the inner medulla. The cortex that consists of many large rounded cells, that is called the oogonia, and these oogonia to be used throughout the fertile life of the female, which is produced in the early stage, that is possibly before the birth. So let's see this difference between the spermatogenesis and the oogenesis. In the spermatogenesis, that is one primary spermatocyte give the 4 spermatozoa, while whenever the one primary oocyte, it gives only one ovum. That is the first and the important difference between that the spermatogenesis and the oogenesis. Then the second difference, that is when primary spermatocyte it divides, so the equal amount of the cytoplasm distributed between that the secondary spermatocyte. But whenever that is the primary oocyte it divides, so most of the part of the cytoplasm that should be forms the secondary oocyte, and the remaining very small part of the cytoplasm and half part of the chromosome that should be form the first polar body, which receives very small part of the cytoplasm and the half part of that the chromosome. Thus, that is the first polar body, it is therefore formed merely to get rid of the unwanted chromosome. After then, let's see the details of the oogenesis. So, this is the ovary, and this outer part it is called the cortex, and this inner part it is called the medulla or the stroma. So, in the oogenesis, that is the ovaries in the cortex, this one, it consists of the primordial germ cell. So here on the periphery it is called the primordial germ cell, that is called the oogonium, and which is surrounded by the follicular cell to form that is the primordial follicle. Then it occurs the development and the growth of the follicle. The oogonium it divides by the mitosis, and the large number of the oogonia are formed. So this one, and it forming the primary oocyte. The primary oocyte contains the prophase of the first meiotic division before the birth, but the division is arrested and it renumates only at the puberty. So after the puberty, at each cycle, few primary oocyte that matures and the first meiotic division, which is completed just before the ovulation. So let's see how that the ovulation should be occurs. As you know, after the puberty, at each cycle few primary oocyte, this one, that is the primary oocyte that should be mature into the first meiotic division, which is completed just before the ovulation. So the first meiotic division it is unequal, and the most of the cytoplasm that going into the one daughter cell, so this one, forming the secondary oocyte. So this one, that is the secondary oocyte, and that consists of most of the cytoplasm of the primary oocyte, while the other daughter cell, so this one, that should be forming the first polar body, which receives the minimal part of the cytoplasm, and but it consists of the same, that is the chromosome, that is the 22x, and the secondary oocyte that is also consist of the same chromosome, that is the 22 plus x. Then the secondary oocyte it enters into that the secondary meiotic division at the time of ovulation, but division is completed, and it is only after when the sperm is penetrated into that the secondary oocyte. So the secondary meiotic division it is also unequal, and the it forming that the one daughter cell, so this one, which receives the most of the cytoplasm and forming that the ovum, while the other daughter cell receives very small amount of the cytoplasm and forming that the second polar body, so this one. But both have the same chromosome, that is the 22 plus x chromosome, and 22 plus x chromosome means that is the 23, and the 23 chromosome, these are present. Thus that is the primary, from the primary oocyte, only one ovum it should be formed lastly. That is the primary oocyte it should be forming, that is the only one ovum. During the division of the primary oocyte and subsequent daughter cell are covered by a cellular amorphous glycoprotein covering that is called the zona pellucida. So this one, that the covering, it is called the zona pellucida. The formation of the ovarian follicle. So you know that is the ova that should be developed from the oogonia present into that the cortex of the ovary, and the oogonia, they are surrounded by the other cell forming that the stroma. So these stromal cells form the ovarian or the Graafian follicle that surround that the ova and protect them. So let's see that is the stages of formation of the follicle. So in the first stage, that is the some cells of the stroma become flattened. So here you can see that is the flattened, and that should be surround that the oocyte. These flattened cells are formed in the ovarian follicle, and therefore that is called the follicular cell. So here you can see that is the follicular cell. Then the flattened follicular cell, it becomes columnar. So here in this diagram you can see that is the follicular cell, it becomes the columnar, and the follicles up to that the stage development, that is called the primordial follicle. This one, a homogeneous membrane, that is called the zona pellucida. So here the red color, so it is the homogeneous membrane that the called the zona pellucida appears between that the follicular cell and the oocyte. The follicular cell, that is proliferate to form the several layers, and this constituent a membrana granulosa. So here it should be formed, that is the membrana granulosa. Then the cavity, it should be formed in within that the membrana granulosa. So here in this diagram you can see that the small cavity is formed. The cavity of the follicle rapidly increase in this size, and as a result the wall of the follicle becomes relatively thin, and that is the oocyte is lies eccentrically in the follicle, which is surrounded by some granulosa cells that are given the name, that is the cumulus euphoricus, and the cells attached to that the wall of the follicle, they are given the name that is called the discus proligerus. So here in this diagram you can see that the cavity, it should be enlarged, this one, and that is covered by the cells. So this one, in this diagram you can see that is the cumulus euphoricus, and that is the discus proligerus, this one. Then that is the follicle expand, and the stromal cells surrounding the membrana granulosa, it become condensed to form the covering, it is called the theca interna. So here you can see that the theca interna. The cells of the theca interna, it later secrete the hormone that is called the estrogen hormone, and the outside that the theca interna, some fibrous tissue are become condensed to form the another covering that is called the theca externa. So this one. That is the ovulation. So the shedding of the ovum from the ovary, it is called the ovulation. And in this, the ovarian follicle, it is first very small as compared to that the thickness of the cortex of the ovary. But as it is enlarged, so it becomes so big that is not only reaches to that the surface of the ovary, but it also forms the bulging in this situation. And ultimately, the follicle ruptures and the ovum is shed from the ovary. So here you can see that is the ovum, it should be shed from the surface of the ovary. Then the ovulation, it should be occurs due to high concentration of the LH or the luteinizing hormone in the blood, just before that the ovulation. So this hormone that is responsible for the ovulation. The high concentration of the LH lead increase the activity of the enzyme that is the collagenase, and this enzyme digests the collagen fibers surrounding that the follicle. The increase in the concentration of the prostaglandins causes the contraction of the smooth muscle into the wall of the ovary, and increased pressure of the fluid into that the follicular cavity. It is also significant factor for the ovulation. And the enzymatic digestion of the follicular wall seems to be main factor responsible for the ovulation. So these are the factor which is responsible to forming that the ovulation.